All right. I'm going to read actually the purpose of the evaluation form.
Excellent.
It is for the member, Mr. Rodick, to learn or review basic research methods and present a well-organized, well-researched speech on any topic.
All right, thank you very much. Let's give a big warm welcome to David Rodick.
Hey, thanks, guys. My friends, do you remember our last in-person meeting? There we were in March, shaking hands, spilling drinks, and sharing food, all at the crowded Mad Hatter's bar. Boy, that feels like a totally different world, doesn't it? Since that day, we, like millions of others, have had to move on to Zoom. Not why we first joined Toastmasters. Still, I think this might be a bit of an opportunity. You see, according to Wired magazine, the average American spends 6 hours and 40 minutes a day on the internet. If you want to reach your audience, you need to go beyond the big stage and sometimes go on the tiny computer screen. That's why for my speech today, I thought I'd share some tips on how you can become a real Zoom master. So what makes a great Zoom speech? It starts even before you open your mouth. You see, when you're at an in-person meeting, the sergeant at arms, this guy, I set up the stage for you. But on Zoom, you set the stage at home, and it takes a little bit more preparation. At the bare minimum, you should try to make sure your camera and your microphone are working. I like to show up a few minutes early, do a quick mic check, make sure my camera's working, try to make sure that it's at eye level so I can see the audience and look at them in the eye. If you show up right when the meeting starts and you got a problem, you might be scrambling when your speech starts, so try to show up a bit early. Next, consider the lighting. It's best to have your light behind your computer, behind the camera. If you have light in front of your camera, so behind you, you're going to get glare. It's a big problem with sunlight. I've also noticed if you have the light source too close to you, it starts to pick up glare. I'm good now, but as you see, if I get closer, I start to look like a ghost because then I'm getting underneath the lamp. So once again, if you have time at home, play with the lights, play with the angles to see what comes across best. Last, for preparing, your background. People are going to look at your background. It's best if it could be a blank wall or something related to your speech. Now let's look at my background. It's a big mess of rock and roll stuff. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't have time to take everything down, so that's on me. Which brings one last point. There's a lot to prepare for Zoom, and you might not have time to do all of it. But you have time to do one thing. Each step you take to prepare will make your speech a little better. All right, next up. Another difference for Zoom is engaging the audience. When you talk to people in person, they're going to listen to you, even if your speech is a real snoozer. But online, it's a whole different story. A recent survey found that 82% of employees, they admit to getting distracted, even while they're paid to listen. They'll do stuff like eating a sandwich, maybe playing a game on their phone, even checking emails during a speech. Oh, hold on, guys. Oops, all right, it wasn't that important. You see, even when you're speaking, you get distracted. Now, given these challenges, it's up to you as the speaker to keep people engaged. Now, Zoom has some good tools to help you do that. The chat function, which we're familiar with, that's a great tool. You can throw out a question during your speech and ask people to reply. Another one I haven't seen in our club yet is the poll. You can throw up a quick poll and get people to answer. Are you listening to my speech? Well, are you? So far, so good. 7 of 8. 8 of 8. Okay. I like it. 7 of 8 people are paying attention, and I don't know who wasn't, but luckily the poll was anonymous. Can you guys see that? So anytime you guys want to put together a poll, just let me know. We can get that going for you. Because it's up to you as the speaker to keep people engaged. The problem with an online speech is it just doesn't have the same punch that you would in speaking in person. An Oxford study found that when people are together, they're 30 times more likely to laugh at a joke than when they're by themselves. So you need to help people feel those emotions. I find that maybe you just need to lean into your expressions and your vocal variety a bit more. Like if we were in person, I might do something like, "Oh, I was so angry." Could be enough. But online, I would punch it up and maybe go, "I was furious." Just a little bit extra to get people off their phones and listening to you. So once you've got the audience engaged, what are you going to do? How can you use this new setting, this new stage while you're speaking online? Well, first you need to decide, are you going to give your speech sitting down or standing up? I've seen some great speeches from people sitting, but I find it's a little easier to move around, do gestures, and vocal variety standing up. But that brings another challenge. When you don't have the camera, it's very easy to get off base, and suddenly you're speaking from over here and the audience can't see you. So before I start speaking, I like to take some tape and do like a pirate. I go, X marks the spot, right in the middle. That way I don't get lost. When you have that, then you can feel comfortable moving around a little bit. I think you've seen you can go side to side, maybe back away from the mic a little bit, fading away. Get up close and personal to the audience. You can even leave the screen altogether. You know what? I'm sick of you guys. I know you're not listening to my speech. I'm done. Just kidding. It was a quick respite. You can see there's a lot more room and you can get creative with it. One other trick I found is that it makes it easy to use big props that you couldn't fit in your pocket. So to demonstrate, I brought a guest speaker. It's Hungry Alligator. Ah, Toastmasters, my favorite meal. Whoa. So you see, if we were in person, you guys would have been in real trouble, but luckily he couldn't do you any harm. So there we go. If you put in some prep work, keep the audience engaged, and experiment using the stage, I think you could have a lot more fun with your Zoom speeches. Will they be as fun as giving a speech in person? I still don't think so. What can I say? I miss seeing all your faces, I miss the laughs, and above all, I miss those tasty, tasty beers at Mad Hatter's Bar. So let me say, I can't wait until the day when we can all raise a glass in person and celebrate. But until then, I'm excited for us all to experiment and learn how to become real Zoom masters. Thank you.
Skol. Thank you very much, David.
Thank you.
All right. Our second speaker is Laura Zam. Laura is presenting her icebreaker, and I think that's also from Presentation Mastery, right, Laura? Excellent. So the icebreaker is a 4 to 6 minute speech page, and we already talked about the 4, 5, and 6 for the timer. Laura's evaluator is going to be DeLong.